We're going to talk about something most writers never think about, and that is we are storytellers. Our tradition began orally, so that means that people heard stories the way I'm talking to you right now. Storytellers, particularly, and many cultures still, storytellers are the people who tell you stories out loud. They don't read them, they tell them to you. And so what writing actually is codifying the story so that people across the globe can read it without listening to you talk. Without this was developed before there were recording devices, so they didn't have a way of hearing your story except through what you wrote. What that means is that in the codification, in the words, in the manuscript, which is a tool to convey that story from your head to their head, you're trying to mimic sound. That's what it's about. You're trying to make it sound like someone is telling you a story. It's not about pretty words. It's not about great sentences. It's not about making your vocabulary sparkle. It is actually about capturing the sound of a storyteller. Minutely, when we get down to the dialogue, if you're really good, every character's dialogue should sound somewhat different from every other character's. Now, I'm not telling you to write accents. Very few people can write accents. But what I am telling you is that you will have some taciturn characters who, you ask them a question, and I did this at the webinar the other day, because it's the difference between me and Dean. You ask Dean a yes or no question, and he'll answer it, and then he'll expound. I worked in radio, so there's a shortness that has to be there. And so you ask me a yes or no question, and it doesn't need to be explained, I'll answer you yes or no. So if you were to write out our dialogue, Dean's would say yes, comma, explanation, maybe a paragraph. Mine would say yes, period. That's it. And you would be able to tell you, the reader, would be able to tell just by glancing at the page which person was talking. Because I would be the taciturn one, which kind of amuses me, actually. Nonetheless, that's what I want you to think about through this entire workshop. What is something that will help you the most with the sound is punctuation. Punctuation is not about, grammatically correct. And it drives me insane when a copy editor changes my punctuation, because my punctuation is there to further the story. It's not there to be grammatically correct. If you want somebody to be grammatically correct, write a college paper. It's not what it's about. It's about voice. And voice lives in the punctuation. So I will explain that a little later on in some of the stuff that we're doing. And I will, if I remember properly, have it written out so that you guys can actually look at it. But each little piece of punctuation, from the period to the colon to the em dash, they're all about sound. And you need to figure out how to use them to further your storytelling.